Okay, hello everybody. Thank you for coming and joining to your English class for today. We're going to begin the class reading the versicle. Well, for this week, we were talking about righteous and unrighteous, righteous and unrighteous. This is according to Matthew 5:45, that you may be children of your Father in heaven. He causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. Well, this is according to the New International Version. For today, we're going to take a look for this passage according to Bible Hub. Remember, it's Matthew 5:45. And we currently are reading the New International Version. Let's take a look for another one. For example, for New Living Translation, we have, in that way, you will be acting as true children of your Father in heaven, for he gives his sunlight to both the evil and the good, and sends rain on the just and the unjust alike. Well, here we have a changing in the word righteous and unrighteous, and is using the term just, like from justice, and injustice for unjust. Well, remember, is a synonym, is the same. Righteous and just is the same, and unrighteous and unjust is gonna be the same. The two are synonyms. Well, for English standard, so that may you be some of your Father who is in heaven. In this case, we have a changing in the word children. In this case, is sons in a plural way. For he makes his sun rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the just and on the unjust. One more time, just and unjust. And pay attention for the use, in this case, for third person for simple present tense. For example, gives is, he gives is simple present tense, and he sends simple present tense for third person. And for this part too, he makes and sends, he sends rain. Okay, one more, Berean Standard Bible. That you may be son of your Father in heaven, he causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and send rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. We continue in that way, thinking about righteous and unrighteous. And Berean literal is similar, so that you may be son of your Father in heavens. In this case, the difference is in the plural of this. There is not just one heaven. This indicates there are more than one heaven. There are more than one heaven, because this is heavens. For he made his sun rise in evil and good, and he sent rain on righteous and unrighteous. Well, King James, we're going to take a look in parallel way for King James and New King James. And pay attention, you is changing in this way for the Y and the E form, and it's children, sons, Father in heaven. In this case, is Father which in heaven. Father in heaven is for the New King James. For he make, pay attention, third person. For King James, remember, is early modern English, and in that time they used to use th ending for making the conjugation for third person in simple present tense. Is the same for this is, in this case, this th. Then we have his sunrise on the evil, on the good, and send rain is similar to another version. But here we have this difference between this part and this. Pay attention, send, in this case, is not just sends with letter S, is the ending ETH for this case, and ETH for make, but make have an E, and for that just the H. Well, New American Standard Bible said that may you prove yourself to be son of your Father who is in heaven, for he causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and send rain to the righteous and the unrighteous. It's similar for 1995 and 1977. To be son of your father, in this case, we have in order. So prove yourself. This is interesting. You have to prove yourself. Is maybe to say, well, if you say, I'm son of my father, or I have a father in the heaven, he is my father, God is my father, you may prove that. How you are going to prove that? Okay, well, thinking about love your enemies. If you love your enemies and you do it, something that you are going to do, for example, with your best friend, and you do that with your enemies, well, you are proving you are some of God. But if you say, well, I'm going to do, because he's my enemy, I'm going to do to him or to her bad things, or I'm not going to show mercy with somebody that is my enemy, or I'm going to say, well, he is my enemy, he deserves or she deserves what is he passing or whatever thing, that is a proof that you are not son of your Father of heaven, because to prove that you need love. You need love for everybody, like our Father in heaven loved everybody in the earth, and for that he is sun to rise and sends rain for everybody. Well, that's gonna be all for today about the versicle, and let's go to continue with one exercise about food idiom. We're going to do the last for this material for making a conclusion for food idioms, but we have more to learn about another idioms. Well, in this case, we have to choose for the first part, to choose the correct explanation for the underlying food idioms. Okay, pay attention. And the first one, it's say, we have, Tim's got enough on his plate at the moment. Okay, what is the idiom? Got enough on a plate. On my plate, you got enough on your plate, whatever thing. In Spanish, in a literal way, to get enough on one plate, the meaning is, or the translation is going to be like tener suficiente en el plato, o haber tenido el plato de comida lleno. Well, in this case, we have two options. He is very busy, or he doesn't need any more food. Well, we know that this is not literal. He is not eating. Tim is not eating. He is busy. He is busy. Is the meaning for this. He is busy. He is very busy. That is the meaning to get enough on one plate. And maybe I have too much homework. Maybe I have too much work. Maybe I have too many things to do. That is, get enough in my plate. Well, when I'm very busy because I have many things to do. Let's get to number two. It's not my cup of tea. It's not my cup of tea. Well, they are not talking about a cup of tea. They are not talking about a beverage. They are not talking about that. They are talking about two another things. Remember, this is not literal. We have two options. For letter A, is not the kind of thing I like, or it's someone else's responsibility. Well, in this case, that two options think to us, okay, is not my cup of tea, is something that is a metaphor, is not a literal way, okay? But the meaning for this is not the kind of thing I like. I don't like this thing, is another say. For example, if somebody offered to me some food, for example, somebody say, hey, do you want some sushi? Well, in my case, if somebody say to me, hey, do you want sushi? I want to say, that's not my cup of tea. Thank you so much. What is the meaning for that? Hey, I don't like that. I don't like that. Thank you, but I don't like that. Well, if you have some meal, if you have some beverage, or maybe it can be another thing. Maybe it can be, for example, something that I don't like. For example, people that do, some people like to do exercise. For another people doesn't like to do exercise. If, for example, I to be part for that people that doesn't like to make exercise, well, that is not my cup of tea. Do you like to go to a gym? Hey, will you go to a gym with me? Hey, that's not my cup of tea. I don't like gyms. I don't like that things. We can use this expression for that. Well, let's go to number 3. Tina's got a sweet tooth. Sweet tooth. Okay, this literal is tener un diente dulce. Lo literal, un sweet tooth es tener un diente dulce. Eso significa. Well, tenemos dos opciones. She always talks nicely to people, or maybe she likes sweet food. Sweet tooth, sweet food. Sweet tooth, sweet food. What is the meaning for this? She likes sweet food, or maybe candies. It can be cheap for candies. To have a sweet tooth. I like, for example, cakes. I like pies. I like cheesecake. Whatever kind of desserts, I love it. That is sweet tooth. Well, let's go to number 4. Number 4 says, Andrew felt nervous, but he acted as cool as a cucumber. Well, cool as a cucumber is somebody that can calm and control the emotions in this case. Is not to be cold, is not to have cold, is somebody that can control his emotion, cool as a cucumber. Well, number 5, Mr. Smith is out to lunch most of the time. Well, in this case, out to lunch is not thinking about to this is literal, it's so literal. In this case, out to lunch or out to whatever is the thing that he is going to eat in a restaurant, or maybe in another place that is not the house. He likes to eat at a restaurant, at a lunch. Number 6, my great plans are said to be just pie in the sky. The pie in the sky is not literal. It's a metaphor using for this. Una tarta en el cielo, porque así se traduciría esta, una tarta en el cielo significaría cuando hay cosas que nunca van a ocurrir. Entonces, en ese se parecen mucho, porque la A dice, my plans are unlikely to happen, or my plans are very likely to be achieved. En este caso, se refiere para cuando no vamos a alcanzar un plan. Tenemos, los planes son muy poco probables que ocurran. Lo que he planificado, lo que quiero hacer es muy poco probable que ocurra, y que mis planes estén muy cercanos a ser alcanzados. Nada que ver la B, al contrario. Cuando decimos que algo es un pie in the sky, es algo que no lo vamos a poder alcanzar. De hecho, es algo casi inexistente, sin la mínima posibilidad que ocurra. Number 7, at last they understand that buttering Mr. Angry App will get them nowhere. Well, in this case, the expression is or buttering somebody up. In Spanish, este idioma creo que no lo habíamos discutido, pero proviene de embarrar. Eso de buttering up es como llenar o embarrar una tostada de mantequilla o un pan con mantequilla. Entonces, en español tenemos nosotros, por ejemplo, el término de la embarraste, pero eso se aplica más a cuando alguien se equivocó. Este va más en términos de la persona que es aduladora. O sea, cuando alguien está buttering somebody up, cuando está enmantequillando a alguien, significa cuando nosotros usamos aquella expresión de ser un yoyo. Este se está enyoyando. Se usa a veces con los profesores, se usa a veces con los jefes, ¿verdad? Que se dice, ah, es que aquel es bien yoyo con el jefe. Yoyo, ¿verdad? Para nosotros acá, pues significa eso. Es alguien que adula mucho a alguien con el objetivo que lo trate bien. Para otros países, posiblemente eso también pueda significar o se puede utilizar el idioma de ser un chupamedias. Así se podría traducir, ser un chupamedias o un lamebotas. Chupamedias, lamebotas, ser un yoyo. Todas esas serían en español equivalentes a buttering somebody up. Dice, they want to get what they want by telling him lies. They want to get what they want by flattery. Sería la segunda. No es que estén diciendo mentiras, sino más bien flattery es precisamente adular, estar adulando a alguien. Quieren lograr, dice las cosas, adulando al señor Angry. Number 8, dice, Tom is sure Alan will find roller skating a piece of cake. Well, he'll find it easy. It's very easy. It's like a piece of cake. Very easy. Number 9, Mrs. Brown's grandson is the apple of her eye. Well, remember the apple of her eye? In this case, Mr. Brown's grandson adores his grandmother? No. Yes, Mr. Brown likes her grandson a lot because the apple of her eye is the grandson for Mrs. Brown. Well, and here we are going to say this for number 9. Okay, well, I'm going to take the screenshot for you. And please, wait me 1 second. Wait me 1 second. I'm going to return. Okay, thank you for waiting. Let's go into continue. Well, here we have. Remember, we were talking about to get enough of 1 plate, cup of tea, sweet tooth, cool as a cucumber, at a lunch, a pie in the sky, buttering someone up, and piece of cake and the apple of her eye. Okay, it's interesting because we can find some of these things in many places. For example, sweet tooth. Maybe you say, hey teacher, it's the first time that I hear about you sweet tooth. Well, it's very common. It's somebody that's like candies, whatever candies, or maybe cakes, or everything that have many sugar. That is a sweet tooth. But for example, in in Netflix, you can find a series calling like this, like Sweet Tooth. And is one series from Netflix, and the name for the series is Sweet Tooth. This is the name for Sweet Tooth, and it's calling in this way because to these kids, they live in a futuristic time. Is a series about a little of science, or science, maybe in a future that people have something with the virus, or maybe evolution for a mixing between species, or maybe in this case with animals, people with animals. And for that, sweet tooth is because there are a group of children, and they like to eat candies. They like to eat whatever kind of candies. For that, the name sweet tooth is from the idiom. In this case, from the idiom sweet tooth. Well, we're going to do the second part. We have to fill in the gap with some 4 idioms. We have above many idioms, and we're going to remember the use for it. Well, the number 1 is going for boxing is not. I don't consider it interesting. Well, in this case, is not food. Do you remember? I say to you, well, this idiom is not used just for food, for drinkings. We can use it for preference. And we are going to say, going in for boxing. To go boxing is not my cup of tea. Is not my cup of tea. This is not my cup of tea. I don't consider it interesting. Well, here we have cup of tea. Number 2. Old John is this day. He seems to be losing his mind. Okay. Well, it's a I don't consider it interesting. Old John is this day. He seems to be losing in his mind. Well, and we have for this enough on his plate, cup of tea, sweet tooth, Kulasaki fielder, out of lunch, and pie in the sky, budding, piece of cake. Well, we are going to use is so out of lunch. Out of lunch. Number 3, Carolyn can't take it anymore. She got, well, in this case, we are going to use the first one. Got enough on her plate, we're going to say. She got enough. She got enough on her plate nowadays. Number 4, Adam was before his French exam because he well prepared. Well, we're going to say cool as a cucumber. Adam was cool as a cucumber. And okay, cool as a cucumber. Nice. Number 5. Nick take the box of chocolate into the office. Well, a boss. Remember, when some in every time that there is some in a high rank, we're going to use this idiom. In this case, it's a boss. Well, and we are going to say to buttering up. Buttering up the boats. Number 6. At first, his theories were dismissed as. Well, in this case, dismissed as piece of cake. Number 7, chocolate isn't too much problem for Kate as she doesn't have a, she have a sweet tooth. Because she doesn't have a sweet tooth. She doesn't like chocolate. She doesn't like candies. Everything with sugar, she doesn't like. Number 8. Don't say any bad things about this painting. It's card. Well, let's see. We have pie in the sky and apple of her eye. Well, in this case, it's apple of horse eyes. Of car eyes. The painting in this case. And Sally hears that the maths final exam is going to be a pie in the sky. Pie in the sky. Well, and that's all. We're going to take the screenshot for you. Okay, here we have this expression. Remember, my cup of tea, that's not my cup of tea. At a lunch, maybe these things to saying is not on her mind, is not in a good way. And up on her plate, she had many things to do. She is very busy. And we have full as a cucumber is the other one, full as a cucumber. Well, and buttoning up, piece of cake, sweet tooth, apple of her eye, and pie in the sky. Well, everybody, that's gonna be all for today. Thank you for coming. We are going to say goodbye, and I'm going to say to you something important. We are going to have classes for the other week, for Monday and for Tuesday. Bueno, nos vamos a despedir, ¿verdad? Con eso de la clase. Y vamos a tener actividades académicas el día lunes todavía. Nos vamos a conectar a clases y también el día martes, ¿verdad? Vamos a quedar ya oficialmente de vacaciones para el periodo de agosto. A partir de digamos, del 2 en adelante, estaríamos entrando al proceso de vacation. Bueno, les deseo que tengan un happy weekend. Take care. Y nos vemos primero Dios el día Monday. Goodbye.
Bye, teacher.
Bye,
Bye,
teacher.
teacher.
Thank you.